What's going on? We're going to do a comparison of comp stage 3s and the L&M Intake only cams. We had a car in 2013 automatic with a Boss intake and exhaust, full exhaust, cold air, 90mm throttle body, which didn't do anything for them. Came in with comp stage 3s, needed a tune. They were limited at 20 degrees and we did full tuning on it. And then since it was an automatic car and it was a huge loss in torque, they decided to do the L&M Intake onlys that I recommended and throw the stock exhaust back in it unlimited. Being that it was an automatic car, it worked out. Now, I was not expecting these results. I was expecting the intake only cams to do a little bit better. However, going back over the data, the comp stage 3s are 276 and 236 duration on a 129 centerline. The intake only cams are they're smaller. They're 10 degrees smaller at 50 at 226, but moreover, they're not an aggressive ramp rate. So the comps have an inverted flank lobe. The XE line has a lot of lobe area, so they come up very quickly and they stay open for quite a bit of time. This does put stress on the valve train, so valve springs are going to be important. With stock Gen 1 springs on comp stage 3s, you will start seeing float 76 to 7800. That is what we never get with the intake only. In fact, you can run stock valve springs at 20 pounds of boost on the intake only. We run very much stock-like ramp. So it's a mild camshaft. When you have a mild camshaft on motor, you are going to give up some, but that camshaft can go boost and make a ton more power. Whereas you're not going to be able to do that with the, you can try it with the comps. You're going to need a significant amount of spring to do it. And then you run into some VCT issues, which obviously they're already limited and people tend to lock them out at that point. We don't have to do that with the intake only. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of this dyno run, and I can show you exactly why we don't recommend the comp stage 3s with limiters at all. If you are gonna do them, unlimit them, let us do it in the tune. We can get more torque out of it and mid-range, still nothing compared to stock or the L&M Intake only, since the L&M Intake only they make the exact same torque and mid-range low end as stock. So, but here we go. The green, now nothing else has changed aside from the cams on this car, not a damn thing. In fact, not even the fueling or ignition timing programmed. Okay, we did modify the cam timing to maximize each setup, of course. The green is gonna be your comp stage 3s, okay? And this is the area here that just kills it, especially for a 6R80 car and a heavy car. You're just not gonna get off the line here. You gotta wait and shift it way the hell up here. And then the shift recovery of a 6R80, if you shift it at 76, it's gonna recover at about 54, okay? So the shift recovery is gonna be here. The power graphs do cross at about 6,200. Okay, so first and foremost, you can see the maximums, right? And it doesn't look that bad here on the torque. And it looks like you picked up 16 here. Okay, cool. But the average is terrible. Let's go and zoom in here and see exactly how much they picked up. Okay, that's 15 at 6750. And it maintains 15 to 16. And then up here, we've got 14. Okay, so it's 14 to 16 horsepower, roughly from 6,500 and up, okay? Less between 62 and 65. Down here at the torque area, here is 3,400. Now, an average stock converter won't even stall at this rate. They're gonna be way down here and have to come through all of this, okay? You get like a 3C, you're gonna be stalling right around here. You get a 4C, if you can get it up on a brake, you might be up here. Anyways, this here is what we're talking about. Now this is 352 and this is 262. So that is a 90 foot-pound difference. 90. We can cut this deficit roughly in half by unlimiting the intake cams on the comp stage 3s, but you will never match this torque. So, good, bad, and the ugly. I don't really care which cams performed how and which one's going to be faster in different applications. Clearly, in a manual transmission, you're better off if you can keep it here, and especially in a light car with the comp 3s. But here is the actual comparison for comp stage 3s limited at 20 degrees, using all of that 20 degrees, by the way, versus unlimited intake only cams from L&M and stock exhaust cams. Can there be gains on motor with a modified version or doing a different intake cam that's more aggressive? Yeah, absolutely. There is, you can pick up more here. You can have this deficit of about 16 horsepower cut down and still maintain your torque, most of it, by using the stock exhaust cam. There are going to be diminishing returns on just a bigger intake lobe. However, we're not there on the intake only cams. They are not aggressive lobes. They're not too big. There is room to go there for all motor. For boost, it's going to be a little bit different. So with boost, there's a fine line on it, and it is how much boost, right? So if you're running 10 pounds of boost, yeah, you can run more and more aggressive and put in some springs. You're up there 25, 30 pounds of boost, nah, it's not going to be as dramatic of a difference. So the intake only cams with boost, we pick up between 60, and we've seen a bunch at 90 horsepower, and one or two turbo cars pick up 150. Supercharged cars, 60 to 90. And there's no valve float and no valve train issues, and you can run full VCT. When you start running excessive amounts of spring pressures, you have phasers. We went over the oiling system, how the phaser works, and the duty cycle, and you have oiling viscosity that you need to change. The cams can stray, so because the valve springs push the cams around, so everything needs to be programmed for that, and it is difficult, to say the least, especially when you're just doing a dyno tune on a day. You know, you're gonna need data that is ridiculous amount of R&D to get that oil. Let's say you're running a 2050 oil with pack 1, 2, 3, 4X and aggressive camshafts like the Comp XE line versus the L&M intake only or a stock camshaft. Those are going to be different programming, and it's going to take a lot of time data logging it to get that those tables for the duty cycle of the phasers in a proper range. They do have a PID loop they will learn, but you want to get it as close as possible, and it's crazy difficult. And then you're going to run into float issues with certain cams and certain boosted applications. Anyway, again, comp stage 3 is limited versus L&M intake only. You go ahead and decide which ones you want to run for all motor. This is all motor. Be my guest. Some are going to say that they'd rather have the low end. A lot of people are going to say they'd rather have the top end. It absolutely depends on your setup, which transmission you have, the gearing that you have, and critically the weight. And of course, in an automatic configuration, the converter, drag racing, roll racing, street, this car in particular is just a weekend fun car, so it's stoplight to stoplight, and nobody wants to get, yanked off of a stop sign or a stoplight with a stock converter in a heavy automatic car because you got cams that don't give you that torque down there. So this was a no-brainer for this customer. Other customers may have wanted this. My actual recommendation to them was not to go with the intake only. That was my second recommendation. What I wanted them to do was to unlimit, take the phase limiters out so that I can get, more of this torque back, but they wanted it all. So they went ahead and did that. And it's kind of cool that we got that data.